Are you tired of sitting at your desk for hours, staring at a screen, battling brain fog, watching your to-do list grow while the work that actually matters stays untouched? You're losing time, real time, billable time, creative time, the kind of time that when it slips away, you feel it in your chest at 11 p.m. when you realize you got almost nothing done. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. You're not lazy. You're not disciplined. You are biologically locked out of your own peak performance. And no productivity app, no time blocking system, no motivational podcast has given you the actual key. Until right now. Stanford researchers have identified a precise 4-minute physical sequence, a neurological entry point that bypasses the fog and drops you directly into deep, focused, high-output flow, on demand, every time. I'm going to give you the exact protocol today, step by step, free right here. But stay with me through the full video because the science behind why this works is what makes it stick. And at the 7-minute mark, I'm going to show you the single biggest mistake people make when they first try this, and it's the reason most of them fall right back out of focus within minutes. Stay with me. You know, there's something I come back to at the start of everything I build here. We take the breath so we can grow the life. That's the creed of this channel, and I don't say it as decoration. I say it because everything we're going to do together today, every shift, every edge, every result, begins with one deliberate act, one intentional intake. The people who are genuinely operating at their highest level, the writers who produce for 6 hours straight, the founders who solve what nobody else can, the creators who make things that matter, they're not more gifted than you. They've found a biological on switch that you haven't been taught yet. My name is Dr. Silas Kincaid. Welcome back to MindTake. Here's exactly what we're covering today: the invisible biological barrier that's been blocking you, why the strategies you already tried made things worse, not better, the Stanford-backed 4-minute protocol that bypasses all of it, and the environment architecture that makes this your permanent new normal, not just a one-day win. If this is your first time here, welcome. People come to this channel when they're done with generic advice and ready for what actually works. You're in the right place. Let's go. I want you to picture something. It's a Tuesday morning. Could be Monday, doesn't matter. You sit down at your desk, you've cleared the space, you've got your coffee, the intention is completely real, and then nothing. Your brain just sits there. You open a tab, close it, check a message you already read, write one sentence, delete it, and 20 minutes later you look up and you can't even explain what just happened. I've talked to hundreds of high performers about this exact moment, researchers, executives, creators, athletes, and almost every single one of them describes the same thing, the shame of it, the quiet voice that says, maybe I'm just not built for this. That voice is wrong. Here's what's actually happening inside your skull. Your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for executive function, deep reasoning, creative output, is running a threat scan, and it cannot distinguish between a looming deadline and a predator. To your nervous system, both register identically: danger. Your brain's response to danger is not focus. It is cortisol. It is scattered awareness, your senses spreading wide, looking for exits, looking for problems, what researchers call hypervigilance. That is your brain fog. That is your distraction spiral. That is why you can sit in front of genuinely important work and feel physically incapable of starting it. And here's what makes me angry, because it is not random. The 2026 attention economy has been engineered precisely and deliberately to exploit this cortisol state. Every notification, every algorithmically optimized scroll feed, every ping, every badge, every red dot on your apps, these are not design accidents. They are precision behavioral interrupts built by teams of neuroscientists and UX researchers to keep your nervous system in a low-grade state of alert, not panicked, just twitchy, just unsettled enough to keep clicking, scrolling, consuming, because a twitchy brain is a monetized brain. But it is not your brain, not at its best. Think about the last time you were genuinely in the zone, that state where the work just came, where hours disappeared, where the output was clean and sharp and felt almost weightless, where you looked up and couldn't believe how much you'd built. That feeling has a name. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent 40 years studying it. He called it flow, and for most people it arrives like lightning, unpredictable, impossible to summon, gone before you can hold it. But what if it wasn't unpredictable? What if in the zone was a biological address and you've simply never been given the directions? That is exactly what Stanford found. Your inability to focus is not a character flaw. It is a biological struggle phase, and the door out of it is 4 minutes away. Before we go further, here's something you can do in the next 60 seconds. Right now, wherever you are, take one double inhale through your nose, breathe in fully, then sniff once more to top it off, and then release a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Do it once. That single breath just measurably shifted your nervous system. That is the first tool of the protocol, and you just used it. Hold that feeling, because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why that worked and how to build it into a 4-minute sequence that makes it permanent. You're already doing it. Keep going. Now, before I give you the full protocol, I need to take something apart, because the reason you're here is almost certainly because you've already tried the popular focus strategies. You've done the Pomodoro timers, you've tried time blocking your calendar, you've downloaded the focus apps, you've followed the advice of the productivity influencer with the ring light and the spotless desk, and yet you're still here watching this video, because something isn't landing. I want to tell you why, and it might frustrate you at first, but it's the most important thing I'll say today. Those strategies all share one fundamental flaw. They treat focus as a behavior problem when it is actually a chemistry problem. Time blocking does not fix your neurochemistry. A Pomodoro timer does not pull your brain out of a cortisol state. Deleting the apps removes the external trigger, but it does nothing for the internal noise your brain is already generating on its own. It's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on and just pressing harder on the accelerator. The wheels spin. You're working hard, but you're not moving forward. Worse, some of these strategies actively make things harder. When you tell yourself, I am going to force myself to focus for 52 minutes while your brain is still in a cortisol state, your prefrontal cortex registers that forced effort as another stressor.
You produce what neuroscientists call effortful attention, which is cognitively expensive, emotionally draining, and completely unsustainable beyond 40 to 90 minutes. And that is the gray zone. The gray zone is where most knowledge workers spend most of their hours, not fully resting, not fully focused, grinding through cognitive resistance with willpower alone, draining their reserves, calling it a work session, and then wondering why they're exhausted by 3 p.m. even though they worked all day. Chronic gray zone operation leads to one place: burnout. Not the dramatic kind, the slow, invisible kind, where your output silently degrades, your motivation quietly disappears, and you begin to wonder if this foggy, friction-heavy state is simply who you are now. It is not. The problem is that no one ever taught you the neurochemical key switch. Flow is not luck. Flow is not talent. Flow is a repeatable biological state, and it has a precise, predictable physiological on-ramp. Stanford's neuroscience lab found it, and it takes 4 minutes. Now, I want you to stay with me through what comes next, because I know it's tempting to skip to the protocol. And if you did, you'd have the steps, but you wouldn't have the understanding of why each piece works. And without that understanding, most people lose the habit within 2 weeks. The people who keep this permanently are the ones who understand it at the biology level. So stay with me for 3 more minutes. What's coming is worth it. Here is the science. The Stanford research, grounded in years of work from Dr. Andrew Huberman's lab and collaborating cognitive neuroscientists, found that transitioning into flow requires 2 specific sequential neurochemical shifts. First, you must move from a cortisol-dominant alert and anxious state into what researchers call an alert and calm state. Your nervous system needs to downshift without going offline. Second, from that calm, alert baseline, your brain begins producing anticipatory dopamine, the specific neurochemical that fuels momentum, creative engagement, and deep focus. That dopamine is the fuel of flow. The problem is that almost everyone tries to skip step one. They sit down and attempt to go straight from stress to deep work, and the neurochemistry simply does not permit that transition. You cannot force produce dopamine while cortisol is elevated. It's a biological lock. So how do you unlock it? 2 tools, both physiological, both free, both validated by peer-reviewed research. Tool 1, the physiological sigh. This is not take a deep breath. This is a specific double inhale technique that Stanford identified as the fastest known method for down-regulating the nervous system in real time. Here is the mechanism. Your lungs contain millions of tiny sacs called alveoli. When you're stressed, some of them partially collapse, reducing your oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange efficiency. That inefficiency signals to your brain that something is wrong, which elevates the cortisol response. It is a feedback loop that keeps you locked in anxiety without you even knowing it. The physiological sigh breaks that loop. Double inhale through the nose, a full breath in, then a sharp second sniff to fully inflate the alveoli, followed by a long, slow, complete exhale through the mouth. Do this once and your heart rate measurably slows within seconds. Do it 3 to 5 times consecutively, and the research shows a statistically significant drop in cortisol markers within 90 seconds. In 90 seconds, you shift your nervous system from sympathetic dominance, fight or flight, to parasympathetic dominance, alert and calm. That is step 1, 90 seconds. Tool 2, optic flow eye movements. This one sounds almost too simple, but the neuroscience is airtight. Your visual system has a direct, hardwired connection to your stress response. When your eyes are locked on a narrow focal point, a screen 6 inches from your face, a document you're anxiously reviewing, your brain interprets that visual narrowing as threat assessment. This thing demands my full attention. That narrow focus visual state elevates norepinephrine, the alertness neurochemical, that in excess prevents deep focus. Optic flow is the antidote. When you're moving through space, walking, cycling, running, objects flow from the center of your visual field to the periphery. Your visual system expands into panoramic awareness, and research consistently shows this panoramic visual state dramatically reduces norepinephrine and amygdala activity. You don't need to go for a run. You can create this effect right at your desk. Defocus your gaze slightly, soften your eyes as if looking at a distant horizon, then do a slow, smooth lateral sweep of the room with your softened eyes, as if you're watching a slow-moving panorama. 2.5 minutes of this layered with the physiological sighs, and you have crossed the neurochemical bridge. Norepinephrine drops, cortisol clears, and into that open, calm, chemically primed state, dopamine rises. That is the Stanford 4-minute entry point. 90 seconds of physiological sighs, 2.5 minutes of optic flow, 4 minutes total, and your brain is biologically ready for flow. Let me give you something you can write down right now. The sequence is sigh, soften, sweep, start. Physiological sigh, soften your gaze, sweep the room, start your work. 4 words, 4 minutes. Write that somewhere you'll see it tomorrow morning, because the moment you wake up and remember those 4 words, this protocol has a home in your life. Sigh, soften, sweep, start. Keep that. Now let's talk about how to execute it perfectly. Let me walk you through the full execution right now if you want to follow along. Step 1. Before you open a single work file, set a 4-minute timer. Step 2. Start with 3 to 5 physiological sighs. Double inhale through the nose, sniff to top it off, long exhale through the mouth. Let each exhale run at least twice as long as the inhale. Let your shoulders drop, release your jaw. You are not meditating, you are calibrating your nervous system for output. Step 3. After the sighs, soften your gaze. Stop looking at anything. Let your eyes go slightly unfocused as if you're watching clouds. Then do a slow, smooth lateral sweep of the room with your softened eyes, full panoramic awareness. Let this feel unhurried. You have time.
You're building a biological state, not rushing through a checklist. Step 4. While your eyes are sweeping, let your mind lightly preview the task ahead. Not planning, not strategizing, just orienting. The way a runner warms up their legs before the race. Not running, just moving. You're warming up your prefrontal cortex for the work it's about to do. Step 5. When the timer ends, open your work and begin. Don't check anything else first. Don't glance at messages. Go directly in. Now, here's the piece most people miss, and it's the reason I told you to stay through the science section. Flow requires a precise balance between challenge and skill. Too easy, and your brain produces boredom, which collapses dopamine. Too hard, and your brain produces anxiety, which spikes cortisol. Neither state supports flow.
Before you begin, ask yourself honestly, is this task at or just slightly above my current ability? If yes, begin immediately. If the task feels overwhelming, break it into the smallest viable first action. Not write the entire report, write the opening sentence. Not complete the whole project, complete the first decision. The entry point should feel like a slight stretch, not a mountain. If the task feels too easy, install a constraint, a time limit, a quality bar you're trying to beat, a creative restriction. Give your brain something real to grip. This is not optional. This micro-calibration is what keeps you inside flow once you've entered it. Without it, you drift out within minutes and wonder why the protocol stopped working. Now, your environment. In 2026, your digital environment is not neutral. It is actively engineered against your focus. Let me give you 3 shields. Shield 1, full screen mode, always. Every notification-carrying app closed, not minimized, closed. If it can produce a sound or a badge, it has the power to pull you out of flow. Remove that power before you begin. Shield 2, audio. If silence isn't available, use binaural beats or brown noise at a low volume. Research supports alpha wave audio states as complementary to deep focus, but keep the volume low. You don't want auditory stimulation competing with the internal quiet you just built. Shield 3, a physical anchor object. Keep a specific small item, a stone, a card, a particular pen, that you place on your desk only during flow sessions. Over time, your brain builds a conditioned association between that object and deep focus. Seeing it alone begins to prime the neurochemical shift before you even start the protocol. Classical conditioning working entirely in your favor. I want to say something directly to you right now. The people who master this aren't special. They're not more disciplined than you. They're not built differently. They simply made one decision: to stop fighting their biology and start working with it. That decision is available to you right now, today. You are not someone who can't focus. You're someone who hasn't had the right entry point yet. That changes today. Here is everything in one clean sequence you can replicate tomorrow morning. Before your most important work session, 4 minutes. 3 to 5 physiological sighs, sigh, soften, sweep. Micro-challenge calibration on your task. 3 environment shields active. Then you begin. That is the complete protocol. You now have it, in full, for free. What I'm going to share next is what you do with it over the next 30 days, because one great session and a permanent transformation are 2 different things. Keep watching. I want to be completely honest with you. Right now. The 4-minute protocol is an entry point. It works. It will work for you today and again tomorrow and again after that. But an entry point is not a system. Here is what I mean. One great flow session changes your output for that day. A system changes who you are as a performer permanently. The difference between the people who use this protocol once and forget it and the people who build it into their daily architecture is not discipline, it is structure. Because here is a number I want you to sit with. If you are currently working in a gray zone cognitive state for just 3 hours a day, which peer-reviewed research suggests is the average for knowledge workers, you are producing at 40 to 60% of your biological capability. Let's be conservative. Call it half. That means right now you're doing twice the effort for half the output every single day. Flip that equation with a consistent flow practice, and you're not just gaining productivity, you're effectively reclaiming years of your professional life, not by working more hours, by working in alignment with how your brain actually functions. That, compounded over 1 year, is not a small gain. It is a transformation. And that is exactly what I have built the MindTake Flow Mastery System to deliver. I've put together a complete flow state protocol guide, a structured, immediately usable document that includes the full 4-minute sequence in a format you can print and keep at your desk, the micro-challenge calibration framework for every type of cognitive task you'll face, a full environment audit checklist for 2026's attention economy, and a 7-day progressive implementation plan that moves this from a technique you tried once into a daily operating standard. It's free. The link is in the description below this video. For those who are serious about building the full architecture, the complete MindTake Flow Mastery program is open for enrollment. It's a structured training system built around peak performance neuroscience, with templates, community accountability, weekly sessions with me, and a curriculum designed to take you from occasional flow to on-demand, repeatable high output. The people already inside are not trying harder. They built a smarter system, and the results speak for themselves. The link is below. The free guide is there. The program is there. Take the next step that's right for you. Let me leave you with this. You sat down today, maybe frustrated, maybe carrying the weight of weeks of foggy mornings and good intentions that didn't convert into real output. And what you now have in under 22 minutes is the scientific on switch for the highest performance state your biology can produce. 4 minutes, 2 tools built on Stanford neuroscience. That is the breath you take. And from that breath, the work grows, the clarity grows, the version of yourself you have been working toward, quietly and persistently, gets measurably closer. We take the breath so we can grow the life. If this video gave you something real today, do me one favor. Drop a comment right now and tell me what has been your biggest obstacle to getting into deep focus. I read every single comment, and your answer might become the next video on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the work we do here every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. And the next video I want you to watch, it's right there on your screen. It answers the question that almost everyone asks after learning this protocol. What do you do when flow breaks mid-session? It's one of the most important videos on this channel. Watch it next. I'll see you there.